Привет всем, с вами я, Janie, и это How Janie Learned Russian. We are on day 2 of accusative case. So hopefully yesterday in our perceive activity, you started to kind of notice some patterns of what things get accusative case and how they change when they get accusative case. Today we are going to be talking about what is a direct object. For us English speakers, we kind of don't learn like grammar terms about our own language. In our English classes, this might be interesting for Russians. In our English classes in school, we usually just read literature. We don't necessarily study the grammar of our own language. So if you've ever noticed that English speakers are pretty clueless about like verb tense and direct object, indirect object, articles, etc., it's because we never really study it. So you really only learn those words if you study a different language. So today, English speakers are going to learn what are direct objects in our language because that's really important for understanding what things need accusative case. So I'll be kind of laying that out for you today. But before we do that, let's go ahead and review what we did yesterday. So yesterday, I kind of gave you a brief, an overview of what things are in what things get accusative case. So hopefully you remember some of it, and hopefully you remember how nominative case works and prepositional case works, because this is cumulative. This knowledge, I'm not expecting you to completely replace your knowledge of nominative case with accusative case, right? No, you need to know all the cases and know when to use them and move them around and so on and so forth. So we're going to look at some of these example sentences, and I'll tell you a specific phrase in the sentence, and you're going to tell me what case that thing is in. Okay, this is all part of creating that filing system in your brain of keeping track of everything. Okay, so for example, the first sentence. Это мой друг. Это мой друг. По-английски это будет this is my friend. And the phrase I want you to tell me what case it's in is мой друг. Мой друг is in what case? That's a nominative case, right? There's no in, on, at, or about. You're not loving it. You're not seeing it. You're just saying this equals that. This is. There you go. Nominative case. Next one. У меня есть друг. У меня есть друг. По-английски это I have a friend. Друг. What case is друг in? Well, even though that's having, in Russian, you're literally saying, by me there is a friend. Something is near you when you have it in Russian. So that's nominative case again. You're not necessarily doing anything to that friend, okay? Next one. Я люблю его. Я люблю его. So I love him. So его is what case? That's your accusative case. You're doing something to him. You're loving him. Okay? What about я in this sentence? Я люблю его. The я is the nominative case because it's the thing doing the verb. Okay? Next one. Этот друг живет в Москве. Этот друг живет в Москве. So, по-английски будет this friend lives in Moscow. So the phrase I'm asking about is в Москве. Москве is in what case? In Moscow. So that's prepositional case. Hopefully you haven't forgotten it. Next one is я люблю Москву. Я люблю Москву. I love Moscow. I love Moscow. Okay, so Москву is in what case? That's an accusative case, right? You're doing something to it, you're loving it. Okay, next one. Москва в России. Москва в России. So, what case is России in? That is in prepositional because of the in Russia. Moscow is in Russia. Okay, next one. Я хочу поехать в Россию. Я хочу поехать в Россию. So, what case is Россию in? That one's an accusative case because destinations in Russian get accusative case. So when v is paired with accusative, it becomes a to Russia, right? Okay, next one. Я хочу видеть Санкт-Петербург. Санкт-Петербург. Я хочу видеть Санкт-Peterburg. Okay, so Sankt-Peterburg is in what case? This is a little bit of a trick question. Okay, so technically, Sankt-Peterburg is our direct object. Okay, you are technically wanting to see it. You're wanting to do something to it. You're wanting to see it. But remember, accusative case is weird. It is having an identity crisis, and unless it's a feminine singular, it looks either like nominative, or if it's inanimate, it looks like a genitive. Okay, so Sankt Peterburg technically is an accusative case, but it looks like nominative. Okay, it's dressed in nominative clothes. Okay, so what? We'll be talking more about that because Sankt Peterburg is the direct object in this sentence. So we're going to be talking about what is the direct object because, again, we English speakers, we struggle with this kind of thing. So we will be working, so we're going to be talking about what is and we're going to talk about this identity crisis that accusative case has, how it kind of splits and goes in two directions, etc. We'll talk all about that. I'll give you a briefing on that. Again, just a quick reminder and a quick plug. This is all based on my textbook that's available over on my Patreon page. The link is in the description. I also offer group classes where you can come to class and use everything that you're learning in this course and kind of use it as your accountability partner. And we're still, in the beginning classes, we're really still just doing a lot with nominative case. And then some of the other cases is more of a bonus. But then the intermediate classes, we're watching Russian movies. And a lot of times our discussion is almost entirely in Russian. But yeah, we have a lot of beginners coming and just being a fly on the wall in the intermediate class as well. And you can watch the videos post facto to kind of figure out, which class you would be a good fit for. Or, maybe if you're too shy to actually attend, then you just watch the classes afterward. Anyway, so as I already told you, my theme for my интересные кусочки информации for this unit is что надо увидеть в Москве или куда надо пойти в Москве. Because to answer both of those questions, we're going to need accusative case. So isn't that fun? Okay, so номер 2. Что надо увидеть в Москве? Обязательно надо увидеть Московский Кремль. Московский Кремль. So everything you see beyond these red gates here, that is the Kremlin. Not just the yellow building, but then all these series of churches, and there's tons of them. So, yes, обязательно. So, это, кстати, мои фотографии очень люблю. So, there's all these different cathedrals, the Cathedral of the Ascension, some of them are where, famous Tsars were crowned, Ivan the Terrible, etc. So, yeah, I highly recommend, obviously, you need to go there. I didn't actually go to the armory. I didn't go to the museum inside. I struggle with museums. I do love art museums, but, history museums, sometimes I don't have the attention span for it because I like to move, I like to walk, I like to move. Anyway, so вот такие дела. Обязательно надо пойти в Московский Кремль and look at what gender Kreml is. And notice how it's not Kremlin. There's no Kremlin. It's a masculine Kreml. And by the way, a lot of cities have a Kreml. So that's why I said Московский Кремль. Потому что есть Казанский Кремль. I think there's one in Novgorod, right? So Kremlin kind of just was the fortress, within the city walls kind of thing. Anyway, so вот такие дела. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about what is a direct object. So yesterday we kind of perceived, and I know you guys were all waiting to find out if you correctly perceived what happens in accusative case. So your answer is, it is the direct object. So you're doing something to it, and we're going to practice that today. Another usage of accusative case is with v and na, with some sort of motion involved, putting, going, etc. Looking, right? Putting your eyes that direction type of thing. Also, when you say days of the week, this is counterintuitive for us English speakers because we hear the word on Monday and we think Monday's going to need a prepositional case. No, actually in Russian, it's to Monday, to Wednesday. And then also we learn some phrases such as to be similar to. So when I just teach you set phrases, that's called словосочетание in Russian. And I think in English it would be something like verbal phrases maybe. So you just kind of memorize that they need that case. Anyway, So you started to notice all these things that are in accusative case, and today we're going to break down why they were getting accusative case. Okay, so first and foremost, we need to address this thing that accusative does, and it splits in half. Okay, so really the only words that are going to get that good old-fashioned ooh, you, ooh, 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 you, ooh endings are the feminine singulars. Okay, that's the only time we're going to see it ooh, you ending on an adjective. Okay, then we come down to this flow chart. Okay, so does it need accusative? Is it going to look like ooh, you, ooh? Is it going to look like that accusative case? So we ask ourselves, is it feminine singular, right? Yes. Then yes, it gets our good old-fashioned accusative, which would be novaya mashina goes to novuyu mashinu. Moja sestra goes to moju sestru. If it's not feminine singular, then we come down here to our next question. So I say, no, it's not feminine singular, such as новый карандаш, немецкие машины, мой брат, русские бабушки. Okay? So then the next question we ask ourselves, if it is not a feminine singular, is it animate? Does it have a soul, or has it ever had a soul? Okay? So again, like creatures, even like authors that have died. So it doesn't necessarily mean they are currently alive. It means has a soul or has ever had a soul at some point in time. So if it is animate, then we say yes, and it goes to gets genitive, which we will learn about in a month or so. So yes, if it is animate, it has had a soul at some point in life, such as mой брат or русские бабушки, then it's going to get genitive, which is going to be моего брата or русских бабушек. Okay? If it is not animate, oh, phew, thank goodness, it just goes back to nominative. That's why nominative case was so important, because it's at the foundation. It's going to come up again and again and again. So a lot of learners like to think, well, everything gets a case. I mean, kind of. I mean, yes, everything's getting a case, but a lot of stuff is just in nominative. So it's really important to know the original form of all of these words. Okay, so that is the breakdown. Is it a feminine singular? If it's not, for this chapter, we're just going to be using nominative, because I don't go into animate things in this chapter. So you can rest at peace that I'm not going to burden you just yet with the genitive case. Okay, so this chapter will be talking about either things that the good old-fashioned accusative, so feminine singulars, or things that just look like nominative. Okay, хорошо. Вот. So we're going to talk about word order. So in English, we show what is the direct object in our sentence by its position in the sentence, okay? So we have what's called SVO, word order. So subject, verb, object, okay? So for example, this first sentence is very English word order. Dima любит Вову. Okay, Vova is the short, familiar name for Vladimir. Okay, so if you have a friend named Vladimir, you might call him Vova or Volodya. So notice, it's very clear who Dima loves, right? Dima любит Vovу. Okay, so that is very standard English word order. We know Dima is the one that loves Vovu. Okay, what about this sentence, English speakers? Vovu любит Dima. Who is loving whom in this sentence? Vovu любит Dima. Oh, by the way, Dima is short for Dmitry. So, by the way, if you don't know who these two people in the pictures are, these are some Russian leaders. Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin, Dmitry Medvedev. Medvedev took over for Putin for 4 years, and then Putin came back. And it's very much considered that Vladimir Putin kind of uses Dmitry Medvedev as a puppet, or, like it's kind of laughable that supposedly Dmitry Medvedev doesn't have any real power. Anyway, okay, хорошо. So, Vovu любит Dima. Who loves whom? Okay, how about this one? Dima Vovu любит. See, what's crazy about these sentences, Dima Vovu любит Dima Vovu. Okay, Dima любит Вову, Вову любит Дима, Дима Вову любит Дима Вову. Those all translate into English as Dima loves Vova. There you go. And then Vova контролирует Диму. See if you can understand what that sentence means. Okay, so Dima is the one doing the loving, and the object of his love is Wolfa. Okay, so in Russian, that's why Russian poetry is so powerful, because you can move the words all around however you need to. And so long as you put the thing into the correct case, it is clear who is doing what to whom. Okay? So давайте теперь поработаем в нашем учебнике. Посмотрите, пожалуйста, на страницу 44. And let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so what you're doing in this work here is you're coming through and you're underlining the direct object. Okay, so for those of you who are just listening, just say out loud to yourself, okay, and I feel like this is such a pervy case, because the way I describe it just sounds very pervy. I'm going to say doing something to. Who is getting verbed here, okay? And for those of you who have dirty minds, you're going to have a really fun time with this lesson. When I taught college, of course, the giggles were all throughout the classroom when I would teach this lesson. So get ready to giggle for you filthy-minded folks. So I'm going to be asking, who's doing what to whom? Who's verbing? Who's blanking somebody? Okay. All right, here we go. So underline the words that are in accusative case and or are the direct object. Okay, here we go. Example sentence номер 1. Mama любит Сашу. Mama любит Сашу. Who is being verbed? Who is mama loving? Sasha. Sasha. Да? Next sentence. Sasha любит маму. Sasha любит маму. Okay, who is being loved? Who is being verbed? Who is doing what to whom? Okay, Sasha is loving mama. What is she doing to mama? She's loving her. Okay, маму. And that's why Sasha goes to Sashu, mama goes to маму. Next one. Я изучаю европейскую историю в университете. Okay, so let's look at университете. Is that an accusative case? No, that doesn't look very accusative case. Well, is it a direct object? Are you doing something to the university? Are you loving it? Are you looking at it? No, you're in it. So the second we put a preposition in there, it's going to change things, okay? So that's in prepositional case. Let's look at this one. Европейскую историю. What are you doing? Are you doing something to the европейскую историю? By golly, you are. You're изучать. You're studying it. Therefore, европейская история is your direct object. Okay? Next. Где можно купить красивое пальто в Москве? So this one's a little harder because we don't have those like standard classic accusative endings to lean on. Okay? So, let's look at Moskvе. Are we doing something to Moscow? Are we loving it? Are we buying it? Are we going to it? No, we have a preposition. We're in Moscow. Okay, we're saying that we're in Moscow. In which case, that is not a direct object. How about красивое пальто? Are you doing anything to the красивое пальто? Ah, yeah, you're buying it. You want to buy a красивое пальто, which is a beautiful coat, and it doesn't change because it's not a feminine singular. Next. Какую музыку ты слушаешь? Okay, so where's our direct object here? Even though it's at the beginning of the sentence, which for English speakers is super counterintuitive and weird, our object is at the beginning of the sentence. Какую музыку? What are you doing to the music? You're listening to it. Какую музыку ты слушаешь, right? And that's very typical. You need to start your questions with какая, and it's really weird for English speakers to put that kind of thing right at the beginning of a sentence sometimes. So, okay, next one. Я не видела мою семью уже 5 лет. Okay, so we're looking for the direct object. The direct object. Okay, so we come down and let's identify the verbs in the sentence. Okay, видела, to see. What do you see? Or what haven't you seen? Ah, мою семью. So мою семью is our direct object. You haven't seen my family. What are you doing to my family? You're seeing it. Okay, next one. Ooh, I bet you guys didn't know this one. This hurt my brain when I realized this. Do you know when you're saying my name is, you're literally saying they call me. They call me. And that is why как зовут вашу sestru is getting accusative case because they're doing something to your sister. They are calling her. They are calling her. I hope that's all they ever do to your sister. They can call her, and that's about it. Okay, so как зовут вашу сестру? Oh, and then here's a little preview of what a animate accusative would look like, i.e. a genitive. А как зовут брата? Вот. So вашу сестру is the direct object. They're doing something to it. They are calling it. Брата is a direct object, but it looks like a genitive because it's animate. Номер 9. Вы смотрите видео в Ютубе? Вы смотрите видео в Ютубе? Okay, в Ютубе, that's not a direct object. That's a location. Yep. So you're not doing anything to the YouTube. You're not. How about let's find our verb and see. So вы смотрите видео. Are you doing something to the video? Ah, you're watching it. Yeah, you're doing something to it. You are watching the video. So even though it didn't change, we know up here that that's our direct object, and it didn't change because it's not a feminine singular. Okay? 10. Американцы любят большие дома. Okay, so if you didn't pay attention in our nominative case chapter, you might get really confused by this doма. You might think that's a feminine, and by golly, they didn't put it into accusative case. But if you were paying attention in nominative case unit, you know that that's an irregular plural. That's one of those masculine that gets an ah in the plural. Not to mention the adjective right here that you should have been paying attention to. Okay? So, where is our direct object? Do big houses love Americans, or do Americans love the big houses? Oh, the Americans love big houses. What are they doing to the big houses? They are loving them. They are building them. They are buying them. They are worshiping them even. So there you go. So that's how direct object works. It's a bit of a challenge for our English speaking brains because that's just not the way we think of our language. But in English, our direct object is usually in the middle of the sentence. It comes right after the verb that is being done to it. So what's crazy, again, in Russian, you can 100% change the word order in any way you want in the whole wide world, so long as every verb is conjugated accordingly and stuff is put into cases. You know exactly what's happening. And that's why it's super fun to go and read old poetry, because the word order is insane. The word order is insane. A lot of times there is an adjective clear down here that if you know Russian grammar, you know is actually connected to a noun clear up here, 2 lines away, right? It's really actually super fun, and it's a really good exercise for your brain once you know all these cases. Okay, so let's do a quick review here. I want you to tell me where the direct object in these sentences is. Okay, номер 1. Я люблю Москву. Where's the direct object? Москву. Очень хорошо. Next one. Пиццу ем. Ah, this one's interesting. Пиццу ем. Ем means I am eating. So see how you can put it at the beginning of the sentence, which for English speakers is super weird. I'm eating pizza. Пиццу ем. That's what you're saying. Pizza I am eating. That sounds very weird in English, but yeah, I'm eating pizza. Пиццу ем. Next one. Какую музыку слушаешь? Direct object is which kind of music. Even though it's before the verb, that's what we're saying. What kind of music are you listening to? Вот. Как вас зовут? Where's our direct object? Remember, in Russian, when they ask what your name is, they say, how do they call you? Как вас зовут? So the вас is in our direct object. Книги не читаю. So I'm messing with you guys. I'm putting in these into weird word order so you can see, essentially so you can learn to identify the direct object and not rely on word order. So, книги не читаю. Books, I don't read. Okay, so our direct object is книги. Even though it's at the beginning of the sentence, that's still our direct object. And if that were a feminine singular, it would get accusative case. Next. Где можно купить красивое платье? Где можно купить красивое платье? Okay, we had this one in the workbook. Where can you buy a beautiful coat? That one we had word order. But yes, красивое платье. How about this one? Я не знаю его. I don't know him. Его. That's an accusative case. Okay. Я плохо понимаю эти слова. Я плохо понимаю эти слова. What's our direct object? Эти слова. Эти слова. Все. Хорошо, это все на сегодня. So tomorrow, in the next lesson, we are going to be breaking down those endings and just practicing putting things into accusative case, practicing those u endings and kind of using accusative case in the various contexts that it gets used in. Хорошо, это все на сегодня. Увидимся на следующем уроке. Пока-пока.